Hey everyone, how's it going? It's your boy Skilled Fawn, and today we are going to be doing a Sekiro challenge run. Let's waste no time and get straight into the rules. Starting off, I'm going through the Mortal Journey Gauntlet, but with a twist. I cannot die during the gauntlet. If I do die, we will have to restart from the beginning. Subsequently, we must beat Mortal Journey Gauntlet and all of its bosses. Next, I'm able to use whatever Shinobi Arts and Combat Arts I feel is necessary. Lastly, glitches and or exploits are allowed, so expect some abnormal ways to take down bosses. And then one thing to note is this is my New Game Plus 7 Sekiro count with 20 vitality and 99 attack power, so expect some cheeky Shinobi prosthetics among other things. I'm excited to share this with everyone. Make sure to smash the like button, comment, and subscribe to help support me and the channel. Now onto the run. You start by going into the gauntlet and starting the run. The starting boss in the gauntlet is this horseback riding samurai, and make sure to buff up using the eyes for flinch resistance and divine confetti for some extra damage. Even though he is not an apparition like some other bosses, the confetti will still deal some extra damage each hit. He can be tough at times due to his long range attacks, but making sure we parry and attack at opportune times, we eventually take him down. Lady Butterfly is the second boss we will face in the gauntlet. Making sure we constantly aggro her with relentless attacks, we slowly build up her posture meter. It also helped that I used the Mortal Blade to deal even more damage. Once we take her first phase down, she will reappear at the top of the large statue. Timing her jump down with the enhanced version of the Mortal Blade, we shred through her health even if she deflects. With the last parry, we do a Shinobi execution and prepare for the next fight. Next, we find ourselves at the top of Ashina Castle, ready to fight Genichiro. Thankfully, this base version of Genichiro I know quite well after all of my challenge runs, so taking him to phase 3 was a breeze. In phase 3, Genichiro utilizes a bunch of lightning attacks that can be reversed to him for large damage. Combine that with him having a few extra moves that can be Mikiri countered, this was also a very quick fight. One of my favorites, but at times can feel like the worst, is Guardian Ape. Its deadly attacks combined with its unpredictable movement can be hard for new or veteran Sekiro players. I always like to rush in for a flame vent strike to then attack a bunch. This initial burst of damage will usually heal a fair amount. Afterwards, just parrying it into oblivion, making sure not to miss those large slam down attacks. Phase 2, the Headless Ape will inflict the terror status effect that can kill Sekiro when filled, so be careful to avoid those attacks. This is a bit easier to parry, which is one thing I like about phase 2 more. It also helps that we get about 1/3 posture damage each time by using the spear to pull out the centipede, so there are a lot of ways to tackle this boss fight. Eventually though, we take down the beast, but this won't be the last time we see him. Subsequently, we take on Corrupted Monk using snap seeds to take chunks of her health down quickly. This is the easier version of the two monks, but that doesn't mean this will be a walk in the park. Making sure we deflect her ongoing attacks and use Mikiri counters when necessary, we eventually take her down. Arriving back at the top of Ashina Castle is where we find Great Shinobi Owl, aka Sekiro's father. There are 3 versions of Owl in Sekiro, and this, in my opinion, is the easiest version. The toughest part of this fight is in phase 2, when he can cover the ground in poison. Dealing with the poison on the ground on top of his attacks can be difficult, but nonetheless we persevere and take him down. Next up, we find the ape once again. Its first phase is a copy of the second phase of the original fight. Once we take down his health bar, it will shriek out calling for its mate, which will then join the fight. Having 2 bosses in a fight can be difficult, but especially when it's 2 massive apes, dear god. Making sure we slowly burn the second ape and slash at its health bar, we eventually take that one down, and then the main ape. Should also mention that I did try to do the cheese in this a few times where you can just keep staggering it with the Mortal Blade, but I just kept missing and, failing. Afterwards, we take on the 2 Shura ending bosses with Emma starting the fight. She can be a tricky boss with her deceptive attacks and high agility. One upside for us is that she has an extremely low health bar, so usually she is a quick and painless fight. The last boss for the Shura ending in the gauntlet is Ishin Ashina. Weirdly, I had this glitch where he canceled his attack and started this new attack instantly, which was quite funny. which I actually haven't seen this before at least, so it was interesting. Pairing him with Mikiri counter, then using the Mortal Blade brings us into a second phase. In this phase, he will use a ton of fire-related attacks that can easily two-shot the player if not careful. This is the point in the gauntlet where I usually start to tense up, since this boss and onwards is quite tough. With a relatively easy time, we take down Ishin. Onto the other bosses and their related endings, such as traveling to Fountainhead Palace to take down the true corrupted monk. This monk has 3 phases, but really it's just 2, since the middle phase is a joke. Since we are in the Divine Realm, I was sad that they didn't include the Divine Dragon in the gauntlet, and didn't even update it like they did for the inner versions of Genichiro, Ao, and Ishin. Regardless, we make sure to constantly attack the boss, making sure to not let the posture meter go down, and eventually we take her down, severing another immortal. Getting to the boss needed for the purification ending, we take him on. This is another version of Sekiro's father, Owl, but this is in a distant memory. It is always a fun fight seeing Owl in his true form attacking with all of these insane crazy moves. There were definitely a few times in this fight where things got really dicey and I was close to dying, but thankfully it did not. Phase 2 is my favorite part of this fight because I love jumping above the flaming owl that soars down, then Mikiri countering him, getting a ton of posture damage. Though this is a fun fight, this is one I was wanting to get over quite quickly because of how tough he can be. After some time, we put him down. Next is a boss that I refuse to fight, and so we will be doing this cheese to lure him in this corner. Afterwards, once he's stuck, we will jump onto this tower and make our way on top of this building. Once the demon does this jump attack into the abyss below, we take down another boss and are one step closer to beating the challenge. You'll now face the final 2 bosses before the quote-unquote DLC bosses, and I use the term lightly since it was a very minor update that they did when finishing the game. I still am happy that they did it, of course, but I digress. This version of Genichiro is slightly different, but is mostly the same. This time he uses the second Mortal Blade that he found after we defeated him. Since we have already fought this version, we will move on. One of my favorite fights in Sekiro is Ishin the Sword Saint. His quick and deadly attacks in his first phase are incredibly cool to witness, but also parrying them. The second and third phase, Ishin will use a spear alongside his sword or gun. These attacks can be tricky to parry, but with the practice I've had in this fight, it has made the fight a lot more manageable. We send him into his third phase, and we use a bunch of the lightning-infused attacks, allowing us to get a ton of easy damage on him. Eventually though, we take down all the main game Gauntlet bosses. Let's head into the final 3 bosses that were added when Gauntlets were updated into the game. The first of the 3 is Inner Genichiro, and for the most part, these inner versions are the same, but they have some insane movements added. For instance, the Sakura dance that he does, even if blocking, will pierce Sekiro's health bar. With this boss and the other inner variants, the player has to be extra careful. Eventually though, this happened. Yep, unfortunately, I died so close to the end, the final 3 bosses, and I choked. With this death, it means I have to restart. Oh, and restart I do. Again, again, and again. That was a lot of deaths and suffering. Eventually though, we got this run. We blazed through each of the previously seen bosses, making sure we play things cautiously. I definitely got better at the duo ape fights and a few others. We get to Inner Genichiro, and this was actually a few minutes before the very first run we did, so it was nice to see practice was helping me. The thing about this fight is to treat it like his normal version, making sure to stay close and stay aggressive, but ultimately the difference is watching for that Sakura move dance. That attack can be deadly if caught, which I showcased perfectly earlier, and is also tough to deflect timing wise. I strongly suggest dodging in for the last swipe, as this lets you get some hits in earlier. In his third phase, he will similarly use lightning attacks with his attacks. Usually if the player reverses this, he will reverse it back with his Sakura dance move, but for some reason he didn't in this run. Instead he just tanked the hit, so yeah, we take him down, and thankfully up to this point haven't died yet. So let's see how the next boss fares. The second to last boss is Inner Father. This is an enhanced version of Owl Father that we previously fought in Harada Estate. Unfortunately, I had a really bad start and nearly died a few times. Luckily though, we didn't. We dwindle his health down until we get into his phase 2. Here, Inner Father will use a bunch of insane attacks that are now combined together. For instance, the Flaming Owl attack is notably different. It usually will stay horizontal on the ground, but now it will change from horizontal to vertical, so the player must be vigilant to see which way it's directing itself. Another insane attack is the enhanced mist attacks that he strings together. All of these mean for an extremely tough and rather difficult fight, meaning this will push my skills to the maximum and possibly need some luck along the way. Eventually though, we take him down, so let's take down the final boss of the Mortal Journey Gauntlet. The final boss is Inner Ishin, an enhanced version of Ishin the Sword Saint. This dude has some crazy quick attacks that can easily catch a player off guard. Personally, his phase 1 is the toughest part about this fight. Let me know in the comments below if you fought him previously, whether you agree or disagree. But it's just those quick sword swipes he does. Like, he usually has really quick ones, but they just like half the timing for you to react, like dear god. In his second and third phase, he has very similar attacks, but he will have a flying attack that can be Mikiri countered, alongside an aerial circular slash. Using the lightning attacks to our advantage, we quickly take him down. This has been Sekiro's Mortal Journey completed with no deaths. I hope you enjoyed the run and learned something new along the way. I've done a bunch of other Sekiro challenges, so check those out if you are interested, such as AP1, Demon Bell, and Charmless, or maybe AP99. Make sure to smash the like button, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. This helps to support me and pushes the video to others who like similar content. Thank you for the awesome support and heartwarming comments. You guys rock. Try to do something kind for someone today, whether it's a small or large gesture. This is your boy Skilled Fawn, and I'm out.